You have caught me a little bit off stride today. For one thing, I'm irked about last week because I was saying big thinks, and those big thinks were impaired by these dropped connections and stuff. So when I checked out the video afterward, it was going, skippity hoppity right through really important points. So a bunch of stuff I said just came off as boilerplate when actually it was following up on something important. And so I glared at the entire apparatus of the internet and found my enthusiasm lacking. Well, anyway, also today was really busy in the early part of the day when I would prefer to be doing this. And why? Well, really boring things. It's kind of interesting to have just boring things. I remember when I was getting ready to come over to Sweden and a friend asked me, but isn't it going to be boring? I think I mentioned this before on another Friday Live. My response, of course, was, yes, it will. Well, I won't say life is boring here in Sweden. It's not. However, I will say that our problems are boring. This wasn't even a problem. This was actually a good thing. Our mighty family Volvo, has reached the cutoff of mileage, which is a big deal in terms of insurance coverage and flippability. I'm not a big fan of flipping cars, houses, etc., which kind of ill suits me to actually managing finances the way I'm supposed to, because I don't really get the whole flipping thing. But anyway, the time has come. And so we went and turns out that there is a car that's pretty much exactly the same. So to the consternation of the salesman, who's like, wait, you want the same? What, not quite clear on that concept. But anyway, flip we did. The children are 13, and 11. And so if we estimate about 3 years for this thing, then they will be well into mobility of their own. Not necessarily driver's licenses, which are hard to get here, but mobility of all sorts of other sorts. There are other licenses, mopeds and stuff like that. And anyway, and they'll be told they're pretty much ready to go and, train and tram anywhere they want at this point. Well, okay, so what was I talking about? What am I, so Ron's financing a car, big whoop. Well, it is sort of interesting because, as I said, I and Cecilia are just crap at financing. We don't like it. We're much better at buying stuff, having the thing. And just in case you're wondering, I prefer it when the thing doesn't think and talk and, communicate with other things. Smart tech ain't so fun, but everything seems to be going that way. I'm just kind of glad our toaster isn't, as far as I know. The car certainly is. I mean, these cars are definitely in communication with, the cloud, which is to say other people's computers with other people looking at them. All right. Well, anyway, the whole point here is that when we arrived, I'm going to back it up. A few years before, when Cecilia acquired, the Honda, the family Honda, back in the States, she really didn't want to, basically it's another mortgage, and we didn't really want one. And so we basically found a reasonably, previously owned. And then we went and pulled all manner of negotiatory shenanigans, liquidating some stuff and getting a wad of cash that, we probably wouldn't want to liquidate the way we did. But in this case, it worked out very well because essentially Cecilia went there and went to the Volvo place and said, I want that. And they said, well, what about this? And she's like, no, I want that. And I want it for, this price. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go around and check the price. So she goes around, talks it down to a whole bunch of other places, and then comes back and said, hey, they're going to give it to me for this. What are you going to do? So they coughed a few times and hitched their butts around the chairs and said, all right, we'll do that. So she did, and then she pulls out the Wad O, liquidity, and hands it to them, and they're staring at her in shock. You're not supposed to do that. That would mean you actually get the car. You can't have the car. You're supposed to pay for it over time. I mean, the whole point of the car dealership is to create these mortgage items that then get bundled in with other things like student loans and house mortgages and stuff. And then they're all bundled in lengthwise with each other. And then you chop them up horizontally into salable bits. And you don't really know which piece is in which piece, but you know how much it's supposed to be. And then that somehow becomes an asset for some asshole somewhere. So anyway, but by basically, soaking up most of that from the start, they really don't know what to do with you. And they're pretty sure they're not allowed to do that, but they can't figure out why not. So anyway, Cecilia is kind of a master of this sort of thing. She hates financing as much as I do. One of the reasons that we had an easier time selling our house is that we had set up the whole finances of the house so that it could, in fact, there's a bell cord to pull and bam, everything was arranged and in its right little folder and everything for purposes of removal. So anyway, when we got here, again also with a great deal of liquidated asset, things you're not supposed to liquidate, we did. And so, upon arriving here, she goes over to Volvo, and it's her dream, right? She's going to go own a Volvo in Sweden, right? And she's like, oh yeah, great to have the house, grandpa's house. Great to have this job in Stockholm. Great job. Wonderful to have this and that. Oh, big Volvo. Ooh. Okay, so off she goes. Pretty much does a similar thing. I mean, we had the family network on our side. They scoped out everywhere and said, aha, they have one here. Good dealership, previously owned, good price, good miles, go get that one. So we scooted off there and walked in, and the salesman met us. And 5 minutes later, it was kind of like he's still talking about it. He's still talking about it. He's like, I still can't believe it. You walked in and bought a car, and I've never seen anybody just walk in and buy a car before. So anyway, he gave a call and was wondering about our miles, explained about the mile situation. And we, of course, were like, all right, really nice guy, but a bit of a Sharpie in his way. So let's make sure that we're not getting, cleaned here. And then I realized the really brutal truth, which is that our days of liquidating US style asset is over. And we do have to, get a car on finance. Now, it is way better than it could be because the chunk that the car that we have, the chunk it represents, and it's just under that cutoff mileage where its value drops. Anyway, that chunk is a big old chunk of the next car. And that means that our payments are, I don't even want to tell you what the monthly payments are and how long they're going to be. It's teeny tiny. It means you're like, wait, what? That's a car? No, it's like layaway on a toaster oven or something. So anyway, yeah, it's not much, and that's due to all of the prior story. But again, it was the same thing. We walked in, had the little yellow paper, and he went click, 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 and answered a bunch of our questions first and all the rest of it, and it's over. But it is, we don't have, a mortgage on this house, and we are trying to sort of avoid that kind of thing for any number of things, construction or otherwise. So therefore it's, I look at the next car. I'm waiting for its tags now, but when we get the next car, I'm kind of looking at it and going, there are payments on that thing, and they ain't much, and they ain't going to be for long, but still kind of twinges. I know that's how you establish yourself as a grown-up in the modern world. I remember when this actually started happening for me. I was way older than most people when I actually had, a credit rating and stuff. But the change is real. The change is real. I mean, you go rent a car somewhere or in an airport, or you travel in any way, or you do that and it's yes sir, no sir. And you're like, nobody ever yes sir and no sir me in my entire life until this point. Yeah, debt makes the grown up in much of the modern world. Thoughts to ponder. So, anyways, a bit of that. And I know that most people have major issues that they are facing. I have friends in danger right now of a variety of sorts. And so my little musings, of course, are of no real interest or no value to impress, but it's the thoughts of the moment. Other than that, everybody in Sweden's going to roll their eyes now, but I ate some reindeer tonight. Yeah, everyone in Sweden's like, oh, so what? I had a burger. I mean, what? Everyone else, yeah, I did. Okay, take care, everybody. Not all that exciting this time. Perhaps I'll get a little political next time. Get a little more clickbait going on here. Maybe, or I'll do something really wicked and bring up something like, Star Wars or something else that'll just bring everyone running to watch my video. All right, this was sort of the calm before the storm. I'm going to make up something for next time, intended to, get everyone flinging their hands in the air if I can. Take care.